Hey everyone, this is Eran Stern for Digital Juice TV with another After Effects tutorial. In this one we are going to create a TV timetable using a template from Toxic Type Collection 1. So first let's take a look at the final result. So in this tutorial I'll show you how you can set a different color scheme and then add some videos, match them to the selected colors, modify the title to our needs, make them legible and also blend them with the video. To spice it up, we'll also add rows of 3D particles just to symbol the TV channel brand, and then we'll also replace the given floor with our own texture file. We'll also light the scene from inside using a special spotlight, and toward the end of this I'll walk you through the final steps I took, which include adding a starter and a bumper at the end, and also defining a focus using the camera depth of field, which will also help to combine everything together. So we have a lot of work in front of us. If you're ready, let's get started. And so our journey begins in the juicer. Here we are going to open the After Effects project templates, and from the Toxic Type collection, I'll select this theme. And this is the basic theme that we will use. Of course, it's got a lot of motion already in place, but we will add some more and make it even more glorious. So you can either drag it to the batch panel or just press on the AE icon here and ask to collect files. Here you have the option to choose your source, Full HD or Full HD with the color rules version. We will stick with the regular one, and then just press collect now to collect the files to your desired location. I've already set it up on my desktop, so I'm going to cancel out of it. And instead of these white backgrounds, I already chose a few videos from the Videotrax HD 1 and 2 collections. I'm not going to show you the videos now, we will see them inside After Effects in a moment. However, I want to drop down to the Texture Toolkit library and then look for a texture we can use in order to dress our composition. So let's start by maybe the texture type. I'll select the photographic pattern. Then let's open the theme and maybe choose the material theme. This will filter the textures according to your selection here. And now I can maybe drag it down, and I think that this one will serve nicely. Of course, we'll have to take care of the colors, but we'll use this one. So you can press on the little arrow here and just save or export your image using the properties that you are defining here in terms of width and height. Once again, I already did this. I just wanted to show you which material I'm going to use. So this is it for the juicer. We can hide it for now and come back to After Effects. I've already imported the texture that we just saw and also the videos that we are going to use. So this is one of them. This is the other one. I'm just showing you quickly so you get a sense of what we have here. There's the third and the fourth, and they are all matching the titles that actually comes with the template. So I decided that we are going to keep the same titles and maybe find videos that will serve us nicely there. Okay, so we are ready to start working. Let's double click here in order to invoke the import dialog. And here I have the corner warp theme that I just saved from the juicer. Let's go to the Full HD and import it as a folder. I'll open it up and double click on this main composition just to show you that this is what we have. In order to make it a little bit faster on the screen, I'll disable for now the motion blur. And also let's zoom in a little bit and maybe even fit our window to the size, changing the resolution here to auto so it will fit itself. So this is what we already saw. And now first thing is to take care of the colors and of course manage our composition, our pre-comp. Alright, so we'll return to this final comp in a moment, but for now let's open up the pre-comp folder and let's double click on the first box side 01 in order to edit it. Now I want to change all the colors to the same colors, to the same theme. So let's keep the yellow for now as is. I'm just going to identify it here in the timeline. So this is the yellow one. And here the green one, I think that we will change it to something else. So just select it, go to the effect controls, and you've got a few effects here. You've got the fill effect, the Triton. You can actually remove the Triton effect and let's just select a different fill effect. We'll go with a version of a blue here, maybe something like this. So let's say maybe 200 for the hue, 30 for the saturation and 36 for the brightness. And this will work for our design. Now I'm going to change the titles a little bit. First of all, we don't need the weekdays title, so I'm going to delete it because this is for the same day. I'm also going to come back to the project panel and I'm going to change the video below to the relevant video. And this should be it. So those two kids just playing here. And of course we'll have to time it, but I think that this one actually works good in terms of timing. Now I'm going to select the title here because I think that this is not the best location for it. Press U in order to see the keyframes. Let's zoom in inside so we can see them. I'm going to select the word position so all the keyframes are highlighted and then press J in order to go to the previous keyframes. Now I can select and move them all together and just modify the title a little bit so it looks better. I'm also going to select both titles here and change their blending mode from normal to screen. And since we have different clips from different atmosphere and places, we'll need to match everything to the same look and feel. So I'm going to select the clip here and go under Effect, Color Correction and add the tint effect. And then just play with the amount to tint a little bit just to leave some of the colors, but basically drain most of it out of the frame. At this stage, I also want to mask the clip. So the bar here will actually be on top of it. So I'm going to make sure the clip is selected here in the timeline and just double click on the rectangle mask. Then move away from it and select the pen tool and then just draw one here and another anchor point here. Press on the command in order to get to the arrow quickly and then just delete this point. So we trim this clip a little bit different. And now just in order to emphasize those bars, I'll go and add a new adjustment layer here. And from the effect stylize menu, I'll choose to add the glow effect. I'm going to place this glow and let's just rename this one glow so we'll know that this is what it does. I'm going to place it underneath our black vignette solid here. And then change the threshold to 80% and the radius to 100. So this will have major effect on those two graphic bars here and almost not be visible on the video. Now we don't need the background, the white background, so I'm going to delete it from this composition. And this is basically the design theme that I want to apply to the rest of the comps, which are going to be the other side of the box. So let's come back to the project panel, open up box side 02. Just make sure that we can see everything here. First, let's replace the video. So I'm going to select the appropriate clip, just drag it below, Make sure to delete the background, so we'll have a transparent background underneath. Select the layer, double click in order to apply a rectangle mask, press G in order to get to the pen tool, add one anchor point here, another one here, delete this one. In this case, we need to touch on the text itself, so double click in order to edit the text, then press enter in order to drop the second word to the second line, and just pressing Alt plus the down cursor key in order to modify the leading between the lines. Okay, so we don't need a Friday word here, and we need to select those types, and as before, change the blending mode to screen. Now, once again, I'm going to select the main title here, press U in order to see the keyframes. Make sure to select the word position in order to select all the keyframes. Press J to be on one of them. At least you need to be on one of them in order to do this trick, and then just drag it to place and make sure that everything aligns according to what you want. Now I'm going to press Command 6 and 7 in order to hide our text panels here. Hop over to the first composition, select my glow adjustment layer, copy it and paste it here, and make sure it is on the right location. Now here we have a little bit of an issue due to the brightness of the video, so let's quickly attend to it. Select the video, go to the effect, and first of all let's apply the tint effect just to play with it and make it look almost like the rest of the clip. So in this case 40%. And now let's go back to the color correction menu under the effect and maybe choose the levels effect. And I'm just going to drag the output white a little bit to maybe 200 or something like this, just in order for the picture not to be blown away. So we have more or less the same look in terms of video as the shot before. Now we need to change the blue here to R blue, so select it in the timeline. And once again, we can copy the fill effect. So if we select it here, copy it instead of remembering the color, get rid of those effects, paste the fill effects, and so we have the same design. Now I'm going to go to number 3 and 4 here and do the same. Then I'm going to show you what I did and we'll continue from there. Okay, so I've gone ahead and did the same things to box side 3 and 4. And you can see the same design, the same colors. However, in these comps, we have a problem that the text is not so readable. So let's quickly fix it. First, let's select the text, press Command 6 in order to see the fill color and change it to a lighter gray, something like this. Then we might need to go ahead and add a solid layer. Just select one of the dark colors here from the background, place the solid before the video, select the rectangle tool and just draw a mask around it. Press F in order to show the mask feather, and let's just feather it maybe 250 pixels. Then change the blending mode to multiply and press T and just play with the opacity. And this way we are just filling the information a little bit without harming the design too much. Now let's just hide the mask box, and it's barely noticeable in terms of what we did to the video, but the text is much better. We can read it now. Let's copy this dark solid, paste it over here as well. Make sure it is in the correct position. So this one should be maybe over here. Then once again, let's change the colors to a lighter shade of gray. And I think that we have what we need here. So this is the basic thing that we need to do. Make sure that color is consistent and also that the titles can be readable. In this case, I might change the colors of the titles here as well. I do want them to mix with the video, so maybe just a touch, not too much, because it is a nice effect that we can see through them. Okay, now we are ready to build a quick particle stream of letters just in order to spice up this design. So for that, I'm going to walk you through the steps that I already did. First of all, I created a comp here, and this is a very small comp, 200 by 200 pixels. The duration is just 1 second, and we have a basic text using the same font that already came up with this theme. So the text is starting with the letter I, and then there are keyframes for the source text. And every keyframe here is a hold keyframe, meaning that the first letter is I, and then after 8 frames it will change to B, and then it will change to A. So IBA is the fictional name of this network. Now this will be a source to the particles that we are going to use. And for that, I've chosen to use Particular. Now you can get Particular via Digital Juice Store under Software and Plugins. Look for Trapcode Particular. I'm going to walk you through quickly here. And if you want a detailed explanation, there is another tutorial called Book of the Week Part 1, which I'm going into more details about how to create such things. But here I'm just going to describe what I already did. The composition size here is 500 by 1920, so a little bit narrow. And here there is also a solid layer, the same dimensions, and the particular effect is applied to the solid. Now the solid uses the particle as a texture polygon, and under the texture I defined it to use the IBA composition I just showed you. And the time sampling here is random. It means that it will pick still frames from the 3 frames that we just saw and then plugged it to the particle stream. If I'm going to scrub my timeline here, we can see that the particles are actually climbing up. And let's zoom a little bit closer just to see them. I'm going to disable the motion blur for now so we can get a better sense of what we have here. And the particles are emitting from a box emitter, and the size of it is 400 for X and 200 for Y and Z. There is also a little bit of a direction spread, and that's all you need to do, except of you also need to turn the physics gravity to a minus value. So this way the gravity will pull the particles up. Now under the particle themselves, I also turned on random speed rotation and random rotation to a value of 30 and 0.5. And I also added a light here to the scene and make sure that the shading is on so we can get a nice shading of particles reacting to the light in the scene. So it's very, very simple. And if we look at it for 1 second, just playing, we can see that particles are generated from below, rising up, and every one of them has a different rotation, which is chosen automatically from the plugin itself. And we'll use this element as a design element all over the comps that we just created. Okay. So coming back to our main composition, let's start with box side number 1. I'm going to the project panel and I'm going to drag down our particles layer. I'm going to put it above the glow. Just slide it here so we can see them. Press R and I think it's going to be 30 degrees, something like this. And just make sure that the timing is correct. So at the beginning when the titles are entering the screen, we'll start to see the particle flow. All right, now that we have it, we'll do the same for the other side. So just going to copy it from here actually and paste it over the second composition as well. Once again, I'm going to press R, move it to place. Let's start with -30 here. This marker should tell us when the titles are getting into the screen. So something like this, you can be very artistic here. So it's just that we want to see the particles on the screen. Once again, let's do the same for box side number 3. Make sure it's before the glow, and also time it to make sure that we have it in the screen while everything is working. Okay, and last one. I'm going to paste another copy here, and this one should be around here. So I think that this will add a lot of interest to the simple design. Now it's time to see how everything is working together. So we'll return to the main composition here named Corner Warped HD, and just going to create a run preview to see where we are. Alright then, so with a few simple steps we've managed to take this simple design and make it our own, but we want to continue and maybe do it a little bit fancier. So everything looks okay at this point. However, I'm not really sure about the top here and the background, and I wish to replace them. Okay, so let's see what we have here. We have a couple of solids and 2 cubes, and also a null object which actually controls the camera. So the keyframes for this animation are over at the null object and also on the Z rotation of the camera. Just make sure to check those before you continue, so we'll know what we need to change in a later point of time. Okay, so what else we have? We have the cube here, and if I'm going to double click it, just in order to open it on its own, we can see that these are the 4 sides that we just designed. And here, let's go to a custom view 1. We can see that we have a nice cube with an alpha channel. So every one of those composition is a side in this cube. Okay, pretty simple. Also, we have here a duplicate version of the cube, and this serves as a reflection. Okay, so let's see what we can do in order to make it a little bit more interesting. I'm going to turn off the eye for the layers and then bring them back just one by one, so we'll understand what each one is doing. So this is actually the top one. Here we have the white solid, which probably we want to keep. This is the floor. And over here we have just a simple background, a white solid for a background. So I know for sure that the last layer is not going to be needed here. I'm going to turn off the eye for it. As for the floor, let's just rename this layer floor. And instead of using a simple white floor, let's open up our texture and just drag it down, holding down Alt to just replace this with a floor. And nothing happens on the screen since this layer also has an effect on it. So let's visit the effects here and maybe turn all the effects off. Those effects are actually controlling the fade off of the floor here and also some of the blurriness for the reflections. But I want to shut them off completely and maybe replace the color of the floor with our own scheme. So I'm going to go to Effect, Color Correction, and add the Tritone effect. And now for the midtones, I'm going to use the same blue as we did before. So 200, 30, and 36. I also think that the tiles here are a little bit big for me. So I'm going to press S to find out what is the scale value for the floor. And maybe reduce it to, let's say, 150. So we'll see a little bit more here. There is also a need to extend the floor since the version that we have is not covering enough of the composition. So for that, I'm going to go to Effect, Stylize, and choose the CC Reptile effect. I'm just going to drag it before the Tritone effect and just expand everything here by 3000 pixels. And this will basically repeat the same texture 300 pixels in all direction. And since this texture is a seamless picture, it means that we can duplicate it and repeat it using this effect as much as we need. For now, I'm not going to worry for the harsh end here. We're going to deal with it when we'll add a depth of field to the camera, so it will be blurred anyway. But now we have a nice floor to work with, and what I want to do is maybe relight the scene a little bit better. For that, I'm going to go to the layer menu, add a new light. First one will be actually a spotlight. I'm not going to cast shadows for now, and I'm going to press OK. In order to see where this light shoots at and understand where it is in the scene, let's change to Custom View 1. And now if I'm going to the flyout menu here, choose View Options and make sure that everything under Layer Controls is highlighted. And I'm also going to change the camera wireframe to on, not just when it's selected. I'm going to see exactly where my spotlight is. Now, in order to get it to the place that I need, it's a little bit difficult or challenging to control spotlights because it has a point of interest and also a position. So what I would recommend is select the light, go under Layer, Transform, go to the Auto Orient menu, and then just switch the auto orientation off. And this will leave you with the spotlight by itself, meaning that now I can open the transform for it and just change the direction to wherever I need. So I need it to light to -90 degrees, so down, and then I'm going to drag it over here. And I'm going to also open the light intensity and make it maybe 300% bright. Now I need to place it exactly at the correct place. And what I want to do now is drag the light up and above so the spotlight will point to the floor and make everything here very, very bright. We'll come to it in a moment if we'll see that we need a little bit more attention, but for now let's just rename this one Spot and create a new light. This one will be our point light, and just come back to our camera view and then play with this light until you are satisfied. So maybe something like this, and make sure that you see the parent column and parent this point light. Let's just rename this to the camera. And now when the camera moves, the light will follow it. So if we are going to see it from the custom view, we can see that the camera and the light are changing places together. And we also have a nice inner light for the spotlight that lights the box from inside. Now here you have to play with it a little bit. Maybe press AA for the spotlight and raise the intensity, and you can see on the floor here what it does. It actually lights the floor in a very interesting fashion and makes the viewer concentrate on the middle of the screen or the point where the titles are. So this is a nice method to grab the attention of the viewers. Okay, at this point we are ready for the final stage, and this is to create an opener and a trailer for this. In order to show you what I did, I'm going to come back to the project panel and open my main composition here. This composition is identical to the one that I showed you now, meaning that it have the point light, the spotlight. I turn the motion blur here on, and just make sure to enable the motion blur for the particles layer themselves in order to get nice motion blur for them. Here I also added a dust layer, which is a solid layer with the particular effect. Once again, a very basic setup. I'm just going to solo it for a moment and show you. The emitter is boxed and the size is 2000, and I'm using a particle type of a cloudlet. And if we'll zoom inside, we'll see that what this does is just creating bits of pieces of particles just flying all over the place. But due to the fact that Particular is respecting the 3D movement of the scene and the camera, the particles are actually moving in conjunction to everything else. And I think they're contributing to the whole atmosphere. So a little bit dust is always a good thing to add. Now, on top of this, I also double click the camera that came with the template and make sure to enable depth of field. Here I set the focus distance to this number, and if we're going to look from custom view 1 once again, we can see that if I'm going to take my camera here and open up the settings for it, we have a focus distance, and I'm referring to this rectangle here. And when I change it, I actually change where the camera focus is. So just make sure to place it on the plane of the cube. The cube itself is not moving, the camera is moving here. If you do it like this, it will make sure that everything in front of the camera, and this is the information that we want to keep in focus, is always in focus, and all the rest of the elements, including our dust particles, are getting a blurred effect since they are far away from the camera. So this is all I did here. And then in order to just make it a little bit more tidy, I colorized the layers here. So my first layers here, all the aqua layers, are actually the starting point. And once again, very basic stuff. I used the same text font and the same lines, just move them into the scene. Also here at the beginning, there's another instance of the particle letters that I showed you. So those layers are starting with the title here. And then we are moving to our main animation, and this is what we built together here. We have the nice reflection and spotlight on the floor, lighting our environment here. And then towards the end, when the camera is actually leaving, I just extended my composition for a few more seconds and then created a final pack shot of everything once again together. So just a quick walkthrough of what we have here. We have the full timetable once again. The letters are entering the screen one after the other. On top of it, we have a blue strip. This layer is also 3D, so it's just jumping into the screen after the box itself is moving, just to perform as a background to keep the same design concept. And then we have the rest of the elements, which means the floor and another copy of the cube, just in order to remind us what we see. Now this cube is not the same one. You see it's labeled cube, no text. If we're going to double click on it, we'll see that I've prepared the same composition just without the text. So we won't have too much information on the screen. I did it by just duplicating this composition and then open them up, and let me just show you one of them. Turned off the text. That's it. It's the same composition just without the text. And of course, you need to duplicate the cube composition as well and replace those compositions just to create another version of it. And this version is over here. Underneath, there is another version that behaves as a reflection, so it's just flipped out. It is parented to the little cube here, so they are moving together. And also another stream of particles, which looks like they are flying from within the box. And there you have it. You see how easy it was to take a pre-made basic toxic type theme, use it as a guide to create our own timetable for a TV channel, change the colors to choose a different scheme, add some video and match the text to blend with the video. Then we've also added some 3D text particles just to symbol the TV brand. And then we replaced the floor with our own texture file, added some light to create an interesting light spotlight on the floor and point light to add more drama. And finally, also enable the camera depth of field, which helped to sell the whole scene. For the final result, I've also added sound effects from the Sound FX collection and also some music from the Music Box collection. Both of those collections are available from Digital Juice as well. And so that's it. Hopefully you learned something new here, and this gave you a few ideas about how you can take these themes from Toxic Type, add some textures, some video, and make them your own. Until next time we'll meet, this is Eran Stern from SternFX for DigitalJuice.com, wishing you great and creative day.